Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're dissecting what is honestly an absolute masterclass in visual storytelling. We're zeroing in on episode 2 of The Golden Notebook, aptly titled, So Close Yet So Far. And we're going to examine exactly how narrative tension and emotional pacing are masterfully crafted to pull at our heartstrings. I mean, this episode is a brilliant study in how visual and auditory cues can construct this feeling of profound anticipation and ultimately total heartbreak.
Have you ever missed changing your entire life by just 5 seconds? It's a heavy thought, right? This fictional webtoon grounds its entire narrative in this absolutely agonizing, universal human fear, the fear of narrowly missing a life-altering opportunity. It's that tiny, tiny window of time where destiny either aligns perfectly or it slips right through your fingers. And that razor-thin margin is exactly what our protagonist, Syed, faces today.
So the crucial point is 45. That is the massive 45-kilometer distance Syed traveled just to reach the jazz cafe. Right out of the gate, the creators established the emotional stakes of this journey. He hasn't just popped down the street. No, he is committed to a serious pilgrimage based on a journal he found, desperately searching for a girl named Sana. That 45-kilometer trek tells us instantly how deeply invested he is. And honestly, by extension, it forces us to be deeply invested right alongside him.
Moving into Section 1, Establishing the Cozy Aesthetic.
You know, to truly make a near-miss hurt, a storyteller has to make the environment feel incredibly safe and inviting before completely pulling the rug out from under you. The creators use this highly cinematic anime and webtoon style to build out this world. We're talking warm golden lighting, highly detailed backgrounds, a distinctly cozy aesthetic, and dramatic depth. The sensory details in the opening scene are just spectacular. Side steps up to a rustic wooden storefront. We see the glowing neon sign reading the Jazz Cafe. We practically hear the ringing of that brass chime as he pushes the door open, the steaming of the coffee machine, and that ambient smooth jazz playing softly in the background. It instantly draws us into this rich, tangible world.
But then, the warmth of that environment immediately collides with Syed's reality. The camera gives us this slow-motion point-of-view pan across the cafe. And what do we see? Just 2 or 3 elderly customers scattered about, quietly reading newspapers. Sana is literally nowhere in sight. As he says, his heart sank. The room was empty. This harsh contrast between the inviting jazz cafe and his initial crushing frustration perfectly sets up the emotional roller coaster we are about to ride.
Which brings us to Section 2, Connecting Through Shared Details.
The narrative doesn't let Syed, or us for that matter, stay deflated for very long, and this brilliantly illustrates how the story uses specific physical details to validate Syed's hope. Syed goes up to the counter and orders the exact items mentioned in Sana's journal, a slice of pineapple cake and a specialty jazz coffee. He does this just to feel a little closer to her story, right? But when the friendly elderly barista brings it out, reality matches exactly what she wrote. The steam rising off the coffee, the way it's arranged on the table, it is exactly right. And to top it all off, the barista gives him this knowing, surprised smile. It validates everything. She had to be real.
Syed then gently pulls out the leather diary and asks the barista if he recognizes its owner. The old man chuckles warmly, nods, and points right to a regular corner table near the window. He says, "She comes here almost every morning." Talk about a narrative spike. Our hope and Syed's hope just shoots right through the roof. The setup is entirely complete. The target is confirmed, and now, well, the painful wait begins.
Section 3, Manipulating Time and Tension.
Here is where time is manipulated as a deliberate storytelling device to build immense, almost unbearable frustration. The agonizing wait begins at 7:30 a.m. Syed sits patiently. He takes tiny sips of his coffee. Every single time that brass door chime sounds, he looks out the window, his heart jumping. We get this brilliant montage of a ticking watch, then a fast time lapse. Shadows rapidly stretching and moving across the cafe table, while Syed remains entirely, painfully still. But then 9 a.m. hits. Minutes have dragged into hours. By 9:15 a.m., reality sets in. He has to leave for his office shifts or he's going to be in serious trouble. Time has literally run out. And right at this exact moment of defeat, the creators use sound to just twist the knife. The audio shifts. Remember that warm, comforting ambient jazz we talked about earlier? Well, it fades slightly. It gets replaced by a soft, single, bittersweet piano chord. This incredibly subtle audio cue completely underscores Syed's crestfallen expression. He sighs heavily with disappointment, pays his bill, packs the leather diary back into his bag, gives up for the day, and walks out the door.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into the perfect near miss. To really understand why the climax in the alleyway hurts as much as it does, we need to understand the camera work. Cinematic split depth is a visual technique that places two distinct subjects in the foreground and background to contrast their actions and emotional states simultaneously. This is the exact technical terminology for the camera angle used in Scene 8 to deliver what is an absolute visual and emotional gut punch.
So here is how that split depth is actually applied. In the foreground, Syed is walking down the alleyway, his back to the cafe, looking down at his feet in total defeat. But in the background of that exact same shot, Sana turns the corner. She is smiling, she's holding her jacket close against the morning chill, wearing headphones, and she steps straight into the glowing door of the Jazz Cafe right as it closes behind Syed. They're separated by just 5 paces, and because of her headphones and his defeated posture, they are completely unaware of each other.
Now, what's really interesting about this storytelling choice is the mechanism at play, dramatic irony. This is a technique where the audience knows crucial information that the characters do not. By using that split-depth camera angle, the creators give us a front-row seat to the tragedy. It creates maximum tension. I mean, we want to literally reach through the screen and tap Syed on the shoulder because we see Sana right there, but Syed doesn't. He just keeps walking.
As the door closes and the physical gap between them widens, we get this final, heartbreaking on-screen thought from Syed. I missed her by 5 seconds. The pacing snaps right back to real time. The sharp pain of this incredibly narrow miss just washes over us. I mean, think about it. He traveled 45 kilometers, he found the exact cafe, he ordered the exact cake, he waited for nearly 2 hours, and he missed changing his entire life by just 5 seconds.
Which brings us to the final thought of the episode, taken directly from the source material. Will Syed finally meet Sana when he returns tomorrow? It's the perfect cliffhanger. It leaves us completely provoked, deeply emotionally invested, and honestly, hungry for episode 3. Storytelling really doesn't get much more compelling than that. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I hope you've enjoyed breaking down the sheer brilliance behind these captivating narrative sequences.